only two pitchers to do that in postseason history, but that was just really one nugget in his performance today.
Well, I thought what Sanchez did today, Nick, was he pitched effectively wild. And what I mean by that is Sanchez is a guy that relies on command. We talk about his command and how important it is for to have that really good command. Well, tonight I thought that he moved the ball around enough, and he didn't throw a lot of strikes to this Boston Red Sox team who eventually came into the game looking for the ball over the heart of the plate. But I love what Sanchez was able to do with 2 strikes. When he got these guys to 2 strikes, he did a multitude of things to keep them off balance. He pounded them with that fastball, but he also had a good breaking ball to get back into the count. And then he also had that breaking ball to put guys away. And if you notice there throughout that series, he also painted good fastballs with 2 strikes. That's how you keep a good hitting team off balance.
You know, one of the things about the 2 starters in this game, Lester and Sanchez, they were teammates in the Boston system back in 2005. They were in Double-A at the time. And John Lester said, back in 2005, neither one of us knew what we were doing. They were just power pitchers. They were trying to throw the ball by guys, and we have seen the evolution of Anibal Sanchez. Lester has said he has seen it as he has watched Sanchez pitch over the years, and Anibal had a great breaking ball in this ball game today, and I think that he pitched one of his best ball games, obviously, of the season. Maybe that no-hitter, that near no-hitter with Joe Mauer broke up against the Minnesota Twins, but Sanchez tonight, again, now gives the Tigers 3 dominant performances now in the postseason, so going forward, this really bodes well for this Tiger staff. And
Sanchez did end up throwing a no-hitter tonight through those 6 innings, but he was really also his own worst enemy. And never has a guy that didn't give up a hit pitched in more stress because of those season-high 6 walks.
Well, he got himself into some trouble. And, Mick, that's what we're talking about being effectively wild, because that Boston Red Sox team can really swing the bat, and they really feast off guys that are making mistakes over the heart of the plate. And I thought Sanchez did a good job of not necessarily pounding the strike zone, but making these pitches appear to be strikes enough and then biting out of the strike zone to get some of these guys to check swing and miss. He was phenomenal.
Here's the other thing. The Tigers have faced 2 teams now in the playoffs, the Oakland Athletics and the Boston Red Sox, that both love to work the pitchers. In fact, these are 2 of the top 3 teams in the American League in taking pitches. No other team has taken more pitches than the Boston Red Sox, so they will work you. And as Craig said, I think effectively wild in this ball game here tonight. Yeah, he had a total of 6 walks in this game, but in the end, he kept them off the board, and in the end, did not give up a base hit, and eventually the bullpen did the rest.
Yeah, right. The bullpen, brilliant. Joaquin Benoit, the only guy that gives up a hit for the Tigers this evening, but that shouldn't wash out the job that Albuquerque came in and did tonight. What they got from Veras and Smiley, those guys were top-notch.
There was one thing that I really liked from Al Albuquerque tonight, and it was his fastball. I think Al Albuquerque has 96, 97 miles per hour fastball that he has to use to get guys off of that really good Mr. Snappy, that slider that he's featuring. I thought he did an outstanding job of establishing the fastball and then putting those guys away with the slider. And oh, by the way, what about Jose Veras? Here's a guy that when I talked to Bo Porter about this guy, getting him in the trade deadline, he says, Craig, you're going to like this guy because he pounds his strikes on with 2 really good pitches. That's his fastball and his breaking ball. Well, tonight, he was on tonight with that good breaking ball, getting guys to swing and miss, and he also pounded strong with the fastball. But what about Joaquin Benoit? He continues to impress in that closer's role.
You know, here's the key at bat for me. It was in the 6th inning, bases loaded for the Boston Red Sox. Stephen Drew was up. Jim Leland had a decision to make. At that time, Sanchez was in the 100s in the pitch count. Do you bring in the left-hander, take on Stephen Drew, who really didn't hit all that well against lefties this year, sub 200? Craig looked that up, so I've got to give him the credit for that. But I will say this, he stayed with his horse. Sanchez eventually got the final out of that inning, and then the bullpen comes in, and the last thing you want to do is mess up a no-hitter. So there was some pressure on that bullpen. And keep in mind, although it felt like the Tigers might have had a bigger lead, it was only 1-0 at the point, and they really came on and did a terrific job.
Well, it was 1-0 because of Johnny Peralta. I mean, Jim Leland makes no apologies by saying he's playing because of his bat, and that's exactly what he provided tonight. 3 hits and the game-winning run.
I mean, he's been clutch. He's been clutch since he's come back. He's been a big part of what the Tigers are missing in this offense. He's that 6th guy in the 6th hole to a guy that's just productive. He has quality at bats, and I couldn't even imagine a guy missing 50 games and coming back and swinging the bat as well as Johnny Peralta has swung the bat. Well, let me tell you some of the things that he's doing right. He's got really good timing right now. That front foot is getting down. He's seeing the ball very deep right now, and he's also catching balls out front, which is giving himself a chance to drive balls in the gap and also hit the ball out of the ballpark that we've seen in the last series. Johnny Peralta is a key factor to the Tigers' success, and boy, has he shown up since coming back.
Well, he really has. And, you know, every postseason seems to have that one guy that maybe people don't expect are going to get it done. Well, Johnny Peralta might be that one guy this year. 500 in the postseason, 8 for 16. He has 6 RBIs, which leads the team. You might recall last year in the World Series, there's a guy by the name of Marco Scudero. Nobody expected him. Now, certainly Peralta is a bigger name, I think, but this season, I think it's going to be Peralta who is going to continue to have a very big postseason, and a guy that's kind of come out of nowhere because people forgot about him. He spent that 50-game suspension. All of a sudden, he's back in that lineup, and he's providing some big punch. And make no mistake about it, the Tigers kept that door open because they wanted to see how things would work with Iglesias, and all of a sudden, Peralta's their man.
Well, and clearly it was the right decision to keep that door open for him because Johnny's walked through it and provided a lot of offensive punch for this team, regardless of the defense right now. He's giving the Tigers all they need up at the plate. Right, up next, we're going to look back at all the Game 1 highlights. The post-game press conference is on the way as well, including Jim Leyland's thoughts following the Tigers' Game 1, 1-0 win over the Red Sox. All that and much more. Cabrera and Fielder in the first, but the rally ended when Victor Martinez grounded out to Stephen Drew at short. Tigers threatened but do not score. That was a recurring theme throughout the night. Anibal Sanchez looking to redeem himself after a lackluster performance against the A's in the ALDS and had it going right from the start tonight. 9 strikeouts through the first 4 innings. Nary a Red Sox able to reach base. We go to the Tiger fifth. Johnny Peralta continues to stay hot at the plate, leads off the inning with a shot to the gap in left center, ends up with a double. Next batter, Omar Infante with the grounder to first. Mike Napoli decides to throw back to second base, and he catches Peralta leaning and throws him out. Whoops, Simo, what happened here?
I'm not sure what happened right there, Mick.
A little overzealous.
Yeah.
Alex Avila up next. Singles to right. Shane Victorino kicks it. That allows Infante to race all the way around to third, giving the Tigers 2 on with 1 out. Up next, Jose Iglesias grounds a third right at Will Mutterbucks. Oh, the contact play. It'd be great if it only ever works.
Mick, you hate that play.
It's terrible. To the 6th, Cabrera and Fielder on base again with 1 out for Victor Martinez. Grounds a third, could be 2, but the speedy Martinez beats the throw to first to keep the inning alive. How big was that? This big. Next batter, Peralta singles to center. That allows Miguel Cabrera to come in to score to give the Tigers a 1-0 lead. Oh, that'd be huge. To the bottom of the 6th, Sanchez walks the bases loaded, but he'd get himself out of it by striking out Stephen Drew with the fastball. That'd be the last batter he would face, leaving the game with a no-hitter intact. To the 8th we go. Despite jeers from the Sox crowd, Peralta just won't stop. Somewhere Miley Cyrus is sticking her tongue out. Sends a liner down the left field line. It bounces up into the stands, back up. That's a ground rule double, putting guys on second and third. After an intentional walk to Infante to load the bases, Avila comes up just short. Flies out to center. Tigers threaten once again, but do not score. Tigers try to add some insurance in the ninth. Men on second and third for Fielder, who sends a short fly into center. At shortstop, Stephen Drew goes over the shoulder to put a squeeze on it after the bobble to keep it 1-0. Tigers pen held the Red Sox hitless through the 7th and 8th. Benoit to close it out, gets the first out, and then Daniel Nava breaks up the no-hitter with a single to center. Quentin Berry comes in, steals second, leaving it up to Xander Bogaerts. To Benoit on a full count. Gets him to pop up to Iglesias to end it. There's your ball game. Just 1 hit allowed by the Tigers tonight as they shut out the Red Sox in Game 1, 1-0 the final. What a great night for Anibal Sanchez. No pitcher had recorded 12 strikeouts and 6 walks in a game since Randy Johnson way back in 1998, but that's what Sanchez was able to do. Tonight, the bullpen, as we talked about, goes 3 innings, allows just that 1 hit. Jose Veras struck out the only 2 batters he faced. Credit him with the hold and a chat with John Keating.
All right, Mick, thanks. Anibal Sanchez working on a no-hitter. You came on. There's lots of pressure being a relief pitcher. How much more was there tonight?
Today we come in with all we have, with all the heart. We just come and focus and win the ball game. Try do our best, try our best. And it was unbelievable in the mound for us. Hold the game the more long he can, and then the bullpen coming in and get the job done. We've been blessed by God. We've been taking care of that part, and that's why we got the win today.
When you came in, obviously you want to make sure that you keep the no-hitter intact. Can it affect the way that you pitch?
No, I was focused to get ahead in the count and throw my pitch. Use, trust what I have and get 1, 2, 3 out. I don't come in with no hitter in my mind and nothing in my mind. We just focus to win the ball game, and that was my focus today in the bullpen. And that's it. That's what I get it done.
Are you surprised your pitching staff held this team to 1 9th-inning hit?
I got angels that protect me every day. And then, like I say, I was focused out there. I come with my heart in my hand, and I say, there is, that's what you want. Get a job done, get ahead in the count, get 1, 2, 3 out. That was my focus.
All right, how much does this win mean, winning game 1 on the road?
Good, that's unbelievable. We've been playing great defense, unbelievable. The hitters scored 1 run for us. We want more, but that's what we have today. This victory for Jesus, because he was all the way with us today all night.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
There's Jose Veras, a big part of what the Tigers did in game 1 here at Fenway, Mick.
Yeah, and the Angels not only watching over Veras tonight, but this entire Tigers team. Amara, you touched on it earlier. Boston, known as a team that likes to work the count. Did that perhaps work against them tonight, because they took a lot of close pitches tonight for called third strikes?
Yeah, they love to work the count. So do the Oakland Athletics. The difference in that A series is seen was that Scherzer and Verlander were just pounding the strike zone, and so it's nice to have that ability to take pitches and work the pitcher, but if he's throwing strikes, you're going to find yourself behind in the count. Tonight, Sanchez wasn't as effective in the strike zone because of the 6 walks. That kind of was an indication of that, Craig. But I think overall, when you look at what the Red Sox try and do, they have taken more pitches than any team in the American League this year. But tonight, Sanchez just had enough. Even after falling behind in counts, his stuff was so good that he came back with a boatload of strikeouts.
Well, when you have 4 guys that goes to the mound every 5, for every 4, every day, every chance they get, and every time they get the ball, they command 3, 4 pitches. When they're commanding those pitches, like Sanchez, he has a good fastball working today. He had a good slider and his changeup working. Well, when you're pounding the strike zone and able to throw those pitches anytime you want, it makes it very difficult for the hitters to really go up there and be patient. You have to really be aggressive on those guys when they're pounding the strike zone, as well as Anibal Sanchez was tonight.
And the Red Sox couldn't hit arguably the Tigers' 3rd best pitcher in their rotation. That bodes well for the Tigers going forward.
Yeah, it does, and I would argue that maybe Sanchez is not the 3rd best pitcher.
Right.
I mean,
Well, yeah,
it's hard to argue tonight,
you can argue it, yeah.
But you're right. I mean, the way Verlander has pitched in this postseason, the way Scherzer has pitched in the postseason, they've got to be 1, 2, and 3. But it does not bode well. Here's the thing for the Boston Red Sox. I think quietly they really knew they needed this game tonight, because if you lose at home with your ace on the mound and you're staring at Verlander and Scherzer actually flip those guys coming up in the next 2 games, man, oh man, it's going to be tough for them. So they needed to come out, establish the home field advantage tonight. They had a couple of days off to kind of set things up. They were well rested. The Tigers, of course, had that long flight from the West Coast, and it really didn't work in their favor this evening. I mean, obviously, you don't expect to get 1 hit, but that's what happened tonight.
Well, the starting staff is just that good, guys. The Boston Red Sox is probably one of the most powerful hitting teams in the American League. And the way that the Tigers, the guys, well, Anibal Sanchez tonight, the way he was able to pitch and keep them all balanced says a lot about this staff. What I really love, though, Mick, is when Anibal Sanchez came out of the game and he walked down in the into the dugout, Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer was at the top of the step. They were pumping. These guys feed off each other, and that's why they're a team that, a starting staff that has a lot of success, because they all try to one-up each other, and that's what you have to do. You have to make it fun. These guys are having fun right now.
Pitching obviously dominated game 1, but for all the lack of offense tonight, this game moved along at a snail's pace. The Red Sox, though, could certainly do their part to help speed it up by just going back to the dugout after a strikeout. For Pete's sakes, they did all their facial and sometimes verbal calisthenics out there tonight. I mean, shut up already.
Well, you know what, Joe West was, he had a wide strike zone today, and I think it really got into the Boston Red Sox hitter's head. A lot of times when you're not able to be patient at the plate and get good pitches to hit, and you feel like the umpire's expanding the strike zone, it starts to get in your head. You start swinging at pitches that you don't want to swing at. But you know what? The guys kept pounding the strike zone, and when pitchers are pounding the strike zone, they're going to get the benefit of the doubt. I thought the guys did an outstanding job of painting on both sides of the plate with all of their pitches.
Joe West is not the quickest indicator as well among Major League umpires behind the plate. And, you combine that, I think, with the fact that as each inning went by, the Red Sox kept looking up at the scoreboard and saw 0 hits. And so the frustration, I think, mounts a little bit. they thought they probably weren't going to be in that position, and that's why you had all the histrionics, as you like to say.
All homerism aside, was Joe West strike zone that obnoxious tonight?
Oh, I don't think so.
It was a little big, but you know what? They make quality pitches, and when you're pounding the strike zone, like I said, when you're pounding the strike zone and you're staying out there and being effective, you're going to get that call. And tonight, Anibal Sanchez got some good calls, but they also got some good calls against the Tigers as well.
Yeah, we'll find out what Anibal thought about the strike zone from Joe West tonight. Coming up as we continue here on Tigers Live, we're going to take you back to Boston to his post-game press conference. We'll also catch up with John Keating once again, who was able to corral Joaquin Benoit after he closed out the Tigers' Game 1 win. That and more when Tigers Live continues right after John Keating.
Okay, so you want to be a closer, eh? How much pressure are you wearing coming into a game with everything that's on the line? And there just happens to be a combined no-hitter as well.
Well, sorry guys, they did their job, their part. But I mean, it's a great feeling coming in and compete against the Red Sox, one of the best teams in baseball. And to get the job done is an unbelievable feeling. And now we got to win. It's the first game on the road. It's great.
In a strange way, can you almost relax a little bit after the hit in the 9th inning?
There's nothing I can do after that. I mean, after I give up, I make a good pitch, and he's a professional hitter. But I mean, I was just trying to get my pitch, and he got a good hit. So I mean, there's nothing I can do after that.
You're watching the game in the bullpen at game's end anyway. How impressive was Anibal from your perspective, even around 6 walks tonight?
He is great. I mean, there's nothing bad about what Anibal did. I mean, he walked 6 guys, but it's how many swinging and misses, how many check swings. He got them off balance. I mean, it's unbelievable the way he pitched, and it's been like that the whole season.
How's your heart rate?
Hard. It's going fast right now.
Congratulations. Enjoy this one.
Thank you.
Joaquin Benoit, he'll be ready to go tomorrow for Game 2 here in Boston, Mick.
All right, John, thank you. Much more from John coming up from Fenway Park in just a moment. But guys, after the big Game 5 win in Oakland, you have to fly back across the country, face the Red Sox in Fenway, a weird park where the Red Sox tend to dominate opponents, but to come out here in Game 1, beat them in a 1-0 game, really says something about this team's resiliency, doesn't it, Murray?
I think so, Mick. I think one thing that fans don't realize, sometimes we don't realize or at least consider, is the fact that here are the Tigers playing a Game 5 on Thursday night in Oakland. They've got a 6-hour flight across country to get to Boston. So they arrive in Boston about 8 a.m. in the morning. And then, oh, by the way, you've got a day off on Friday, but you've got media sessions to do, you've got a workout to do, and then all of a sudden you've got to play Game 1 on Saturday against a rested Boston team. Now, there are some, Craig, that say that it's good to kind of just keep it going and not have too many days off, and the Tigers certainly have dealt with that in the World Series, but that's a pretty rugged schedule when you consider that you played all these games, spring training, the entire season. These guys have to be a little bit gassed right now.
Oh, face it, Mario. These guys are tired right now. But you also find that energy. When it's playoff baseball time, everything's on the line. You're going into Fenway Park to where it's a rowdy place to play, and it's also a cool place to play, getting a chance to play it off the green, hitting balls over the green monster. So the excitement is on the inside. Guys are ready to play. They are tired, but they are going to play. I mean, they're going to battle because that's what you have to do at this time. It's mind over matter.
And you knew eventually you were going to have to win at least one game in Boston if you wanted to win this series. You might as well go ahead and go out and take Game 1.
Well, you might as well. And, you know, you talk about the fact that Boston has the home field advantage, but that's only good unless you hold home field advantage. And right now the Tigers have kind of stolen that away a little bit. And obviously they're going to try and come back and take Game 2 in the series. But they are set up so nicely here. And we talked about this before, but when you've got Verlander and Scherzer, and then you've got Fister, and you've got Sanchez to deal with, I mean, these are 4 quality pitchers. And you had to believe that with the guy they had on the mound tonight in Lester, it was their ace. They needed to take this Game 1 here tonight. So the Tigers may have a little bit of a mental edge right now going into the second game of the series tomorrow night, especially in that ballpark.
Yeah, and you got to think maybe the Red Sox will be a little more aggressive at the plate, maybe not as patient against Max Scherzer tomorrow night, who's a guy that we know.
Was this the same team that scored 20 runs against the Tigers back in
remember the last time the Tigers saw the Red Sox at Fenway? Yeah, no, the Tigers like to forget about that as well. We're not done with Fenway or Boston just yet. John Keating heading into the clubhouse to talk to the Tigers after their Game 1 win. But when we come back, we'll take you to Jim Leland's.
Be a little careful early, but he got rolling pretty good and made some good pitches, and you know, gave us what we needed. And made a great pitch on Drew to strike him out, get out of that inning. You know, sitting there with Gomes. You bring the lefty there. They're sitting over there with Gomes, I assume, so we wanted to stay away from that, and we stuck with him. He came through.
Mark?
Jim, I'm sure you're happy enough to get out of here with a win, but did you get caught up in the no-hitter?
No, not really. You know, particularly in a place like this, because one run is, you know, you almost feel like you're behind in this ballpark with one run. I mean, you know, walking one swing of the bat with a monster, although the ball wasn't really carrying a lot tonight, you know, you never feel comfortable. I wasn't really worried about a no-hitter. Would have been nice, but been several guys involved, but, you know, it works out fine for us.
Lynn, down here.
How much were you aching over the fact that those early opportunities didn't go anywhere, and could you analyze the situation there when Peral did let off with a double?
Well, you know, we got to do a little better with our opportunities. You know, hitting with men in scoring position, obviously we got to do a little bit better. But I think, you know, what you're seeing is a lot of good pitching. You know, there was 2 playoff games played today, and they were both 1-0 scores. That tells you the kind of quality of pitching that's in the postseason. So we do have to do a little bit better with our opportunities. But on this one, we were able to hold on.
Who else? Okay. Yeah.
Jim, you guys have had a high strikeout pitching staff all year long. How valuable is that ability that you guys have, not just to be effective, but to miss bats the way you do?
Well, it's catch-22 because it's not so valuable because you don't get a lot of quick outs, so pitch counts go up. But it is so valuable because when you get in a jam, they have the capabilities of striking somebody out. So it works both ways. Like I say, it works against you a little bit because their pitch counts gets up so high early, because strikeout pitchers get their pitch counts up, and you know, it works for you when you get in a big situation like we did the other day with Max Scherzer, who basically loaded nobody out. He struck out 2 guys. So it's a, you know, like I say, it's kind of a catch-22, kind of bittersweet.
Jason?
Jim, when you went with Santiago at short and you put in, Santiago at third base and then put in Kelly in left, was that just a commitment that, you know, you're going to have to win this game 1-0 and to just go for defense?
Well, I wasn't very comfortable doing that, particularly in this ballpark with a 1-0 lead. But I'll tell you, the big key is we know we're handicapped a little bit. Everybody knows that because of our situation. I think the biggest key in that situation was the 2 guys that they had coming up to lead off that inning were Victorino and Pedroia. Both of them are excellent baseball players. They're both smart. Victorino could have dropped the bunt down on Miggy. Pedroia could have dropped the bunt down on Miggy. So I didn't feel very comfortable, but we're strapped a little bit, and we just felt like that was the best way to go.
Jim Leyland mentioned in his post-game press conference, he feels like the Tigers could have done a better job with some of their opportunities tonight. If they would have found a way to lose this game, we might be talking about the fact they went 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position and left 12 on base. And as I think about some of those missed opportunities, a couple of those base running blunders in the 5th inning come to mind.
You didn't like those plays at all today, did you?
He used the term blunders.
Blunders. But you know what? They're not necessary blunders. And let me take you to being at second base. When you're at second base, the rule of thumb is everybody in the ballpark knows that the guy's trying to hit the ball the opposite way. And it's a ground ball, so you have to be going on that play. Me and Mario were talking about this. We have not seen a guy playing over and in at first base the way Napoli was playing that position on that particular one there. I didn't like that one. And this is also the exact same thing, Mick. It's 1st and 3rd, 1 out. Give Middlebrook some credit here because the rule of thumb is you got the double play and you get out of the inning. He made a smart play by going home there because he realized, guys, we're not scoring runs. They're not scoring runs. Probably be smart for me to throw this ball home, get the guy out at home, and take my chances with Lester.
Probably smart for Infante to stay at third so that play doesn't happen in the first place because they're going to have a hard time doubling up Iglesias at first.
Help me out, Mario.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that Napoli play is one that I haven't seen ever. And, you know, one of the things that we tend to see in the middle of August in the press box is, especially in the meal room, it's usually Mickey and Simo heading the way, but it's usually now, once you get late into the season, you see the advanced scouts. And that's one thing we notice at the ballpark. You see a lot of scouts at the games in August and September. They are advancing for their teams if they expect to get in the playoffs. They look at tendencies. They look at some things that some clubs are doing to maybe give them a little bit of an edge. And that play that Napoli made, I think turned out to be a pretty big play. Obviously, they lost the game, but You just don't see a first baseman that far in and a ball hit right at him, and it turned out to be a very big out at second base.
Well, the coaches are always the scapegoat, right? They're always like, well, why did you run? Why did you send this guy? Or why did you have these guys playing there? Well, let's give these guys, the Boston Red Sox, some credit this time. They made an outstanding job of advanced scouting, making sure or knowing the right position to play Infante to make that play happen. Tip your cap. This guy, the advanced scout, did their job.
Yeah, they knew exactly that they were going to hit the ball to Napoli and draw him in that situation. Brilliant job of scouting, just as they drew it up. All right, much more from Boston still to come. We'll take you back to hear from the guys. Anibal Sanchez on the way. We haven't heard from him yet, but John Keating will join us with Alex Avila one-on-one. His thoughts on the brilliant performance from the Tigers pitchers when we continue from the Coliseum studio.
Play and Drew strikes out. What an inning!
Dan Dickerson and Jim Price with the Call on the Tigers Radio Network. Anibal Sanchez was just the 12th pitcher in Major League history to start Game 1 of a championship series after winning a league ERA title, and he proved more than worthy of the job tonight. Tosses a no-hitter through 6. Alex Avila caught that no-hitter through 6, and he's talking about the night the Tigers pitchers had as a whole with John Keating as we head back to Fenway for tonight's Toyota player interview.
All right, Mick, thanks. Have you caught many better games than that?
I mean, I've caught a few good ones.
Yeah, the Verlander ones were up there, right?
Yeah, there was a few, and some close no-hitters over the last few years. But, you know, obviously in the circumstances of now, it ranks up there as one of the best ones, I think.
And Anibal was working around some measures of wildness. What were you saying to him as you're trying to get him through 6 innings tonight?
Just trying to, you know, slow it down a little bit for him. You know, making sure that, you know, one pitch at a time is his mindset. You know, he was a little effectively wild today, and you know, the thing is, he made big pitches with guys on, and you know, sometimes, most times, this team will hurt you when you walk that many, but you know, sometimes you got to be good and a little bit lucky.
How aware were you that you had no-hit them through 8 innings going into the ninth?
At that point, I was aware. I'm not gonna lie, I wanted it. That would have been really nice, been something special, but the win was just more important.
Well, you've been through lots of scouting reports on this team. Are you surprised that you held them to 1 hit and no runs in this ballpark?
Well, when you face a team as good as them, you kind of, you know, realize that you're going to give up some. You know, you're just trying to contain it. And, you know, like I said before, sometimes you got to be lucky and good.
Put the win in perspective for me. To win Game 1 on the road, particularly in Boston against these sides.
All big, you know, especially the fact that, you know, we didn't have much offense either, but, you know, our guys pitched well, so it was definitely a big win, you know, now with Max going tomorrow.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Alex Avila catching Anibal Sanchez and company tonight here at Fenway. Mick.
All right, John, thanks. And, you know, when you look back at Sanchez tonight, among some of the most impressive things that he was able to accomplish against the Red Sox was the way he handled the top of that order. Victorino and Ellsbury, they set the table for that team. They go combined 0 for 8 tonight.
They're the driving force to that offense. And that last series against the Rays, both of these guys, I jotted down a couple of numbers. Ellsbury was 9 for 18. The thing that stuck out about that was that he scored 7 runs. The Tigers did a good job. Anibal did a great job of keeping these guys at bay, because when they get on, Mario, they cause havoc. We've seen it time and time again. I also watched that series with them with Tampa, and they were running wild. Well, tonight, Anibal Sanchez did a good job of throwing them some good fastballs, getting ahead in the count, and he also had a really good changeup working down and away from guys and just moving the ball around. And he also did the exact same thing to Shane Victorino. He threw him some really good breaking balls. He also kept him off balance. And what I mean by off balance is when you're looking out over the plate and they pound you in. When you're looking inside, he was able to go slider down and away to get these guys out. That's how the Tigers are going to beat the Boston Red Sox, is by containing those 2 guys at the top of that batting order.
Struck those 2 guys out a combined 6 times tonight. But, Mario, when you look back at that 6th inning, to walk the bases loaded and then to get out of it unscathed, really impressive there by Sanchez.
It really was. I mean, at that point, his pitch count going into that inning was 87, and that was one of the innings where the game really could have gone sideways. All the Red Sox needed was 1 big hit. They could not get it, though, and it looked like it was going to be a big inning for the Red Sox, but not. Sanchez would walk 3 batters in that frame. Pedroia walked. He would strike out David Ortiz for the 2nd out of the inning, but then back-to-back walks Napoli had the base on balls, and then Nava had the base on balls, and then that set up the big at-bat with Stephen Drew. Sanchez was able to get ahead in the count. Now, Leland could have gone to the lefty here. Drew Smiley, he stayed with the righty Sanchez. Off-speed pitch away, struck him out, and you see the excitement of Anibal Sanchez, and that was a huge, huge out, not only in that inning, but in this game. Sanchez was able to finish through, and you look at some of the numbers on Anibal tonight, a total of 12 strikeouts. The 6 walks were a high total, obviously, but he was able to pitch around that. 116 pitches tonight. You knew early on in this game, guys, that they were going to have to go to the bullpen because they were working Sanchez early despite all the strikeouts, and because of all the strikeouts, pitch count was going up, so you knew the Tigers' pen was at 1 point tonight going to have to be big, and they certainly were.
Well, the elite pitchers did what Sanchez did tonight. When he got into trouble, he was able to make quality pitches to get himself out of jams. That's what the aces, that's what the big guys do. Sanchez is one of those guys leading the American League ERA. That's how you get it done.
Yeah, zeros where it mattered most for Sanchez tonight. Of course, he was a big part of the story tonight here in Game 1. When we come back to Boston, we'll take you to his post-game press conference, sharing the podium with that guy who was also a big part of the story in Game 1. A doubleheader with Sanchez and Peralta. Tigers Live continues.
Was it tense at all with the no-hitter? How much were you thinking about that after you left?
You know, at this point, especially in this series, it's not about throw no-hitter or something like that. Especially if you, as soon as you get some zeros inning by inning and you face hitter by hitter and get some outs, it's more important. I think the win is more important about the no-hitter at that point.
Who else? Lynn?
Johnny, when you led off with a double, and I believe it was the fourth or whatever it was, and then Napoli made such a terrific play, there was no way really to second-guess your base running on that, was there?
I mean, that situation, you know, he play inside, in and, you know, I don't go to third base. You know, I don't have a chance to go over there, so I try to go back to second base, and, you know, he make a good throw to second base, so it's nothing that I can do right there.
Right behind Lynn?
Anibal, after that long 6th inning, did you try to get Leland to let you go back out there for the 7th, or were you pretty much gassed at that point?
No, I got, as soon as he told me that my job is done, I say, yeah, because even I got a lot of pitch, so I don't want to rush by just because we got no hit. I think they need to bring some fresh arm for get some innings quickly and get it the team, get it the win. Was what we do today.
Right here.
Anibal, even though you said a no-hitter didn't matter as much as the win, did you feel like you had no-hitter type stuff, the way they were swinging and missing and check swinging and everything else? Did you feel you had that type of stuff?
I feel good. I feel good today, especially when you back for a bad outing. You know, I don't feel anything close that I threw against Oakland at home. So I'm working a lot on my mechanic during those days, and especially I try to put on game today, and I think that my all pitch working. I try to be on the top of the ball for make more move on the pitch, and that's something what I do early on the season this year, and it's worked today.
Yeah, that it did. Well, was it the biggest moment of tonight's game? Maybe, but it was definitely one of the scariest. Drew Smiley tells John Keating about his 8th inning confrontation with Big Papi when we come back.
So it was a good team win. I think everybody's excited about it.
One thing is to win first game on the road, but to win in that kind of fashion, to completely shut down that offense, how big a boost is that to this team?
Well, I mean, we know what we're capable of, but, you know, it's a 7-game series. We got a lot more games to play, but it's definitely a big first win, like I said, but, you know, a lot of baseball to play.
Drew, how tough is that lineup to hold them down like that? Pretty remarkable what your staff did.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we have great pitchers, though. You know, Sanchi has outstanding stuff. Our bullpen has been great. You know, when they're on throwing strikes, Albie, he's unhittable. So it doesn't surprise me at all, but they got great hitters. There's a lot of baseball to be played. So.
Do you have any extra pressure when you go in there and you got that combined no-hitter, or is it just concentrating with it being the ALCS?
Well, no one wants to give up the first hit of the game, but I mean, when you're up 1-0, just don't let anybody score. You know, just hold the game to where it is.
When your staff is going like that, is that contagious? Like hitting is contagious?
I think so. I mean, you want to thrive all what the next guy just did. You want to almost one-up them, you know, when all the pitchers are going out, you know, getting 3 up, 3 down, getting strikeouts. You want to do the same, so it definitely helps.
Every single guy who went out there.
We're not done just yet. We have another stop to make in Boston. We'll check in with John Keating one more in a game, but to win it in the fashion the Tigers did, had to send off maybe some alarms there in Boston tonight.
Mick will remember this one for the 4-strikeout first inning, and then that one hit in the ninth. You don't think of Adabel Sanchez as a strikeout pitcher, even though he did have 202 during the regular season. But what this Red Sox team does is they battle. They saw 1,000 more pitches, more than 1,000 more pitches than any other team during the course of the regular season. Collectively, they got Sanchez's pitch count up, and that only allowed him to work the 6 no-hit innings tonight. This game would ultimately be decided by the bullpen, of course, and Sanchez was followed to the mound by Albuquerque and then Veras and then Smiley and Joaquin Benoit, who did allow the hit to Daniel Nava in the 9th inning, but that was the only hit that the Tiger pitching staff allowed. All of Boston groaning in unison tonight, Mick, and we're okay with that.
The music to our ears, John. Thank you. We'll see you again tomorrow night. And when we come back, Mario and Simo join me once again. A look ahead to